and welcome back to Tie TV. I'm Niklaus Bauer, and today we're gonna tie a rippled, well, good name to it, but it's made out of rippled ice fiber, and it's an articulated fire tiger with the custom dragon tail on it. It's a really cool pattern. It's really narrow, so if you're fishing it with without a tail, just plain and simple like that, it's going to be moving like a small jerkbait, really side to side. Gonna dive down and up, really versatile bait. And then if you put a like this one has, it's called a wave tail, like that. It's making that tail kick a little bit. Then it's gonna move in much slower but bigger movements. And then if you put a wiggle tail on it or a dragon tail, just like I had in the beginning, it's going to be a bait that is gonna cut the water really well, but it's really going to move that tail and move a lot of water. So whatever you do with this, you can kind of change it into 3 different type of styles just by changing the tail or taking the tail off. So this is going to be a fire tiger version, so it's going to be ultra bright. Everything is fluorescent, so it's really gonna glow. But if you want to tie it in a little bit more natural colors, you can just change the bright colors to, this is tied in gold and peacock with a little bit orange in it, and you have that perfect bream color. So it's a really cool brand new fiber from Hairline, and it's really cool in the water, and it's this narrow profile is going to cut the water, it's going to sink really well, and it fish awesome. So give it a try. So what we're going to start out with the rear hook. We're going to tie these on the Vision Big Mama and Big Daddy hooks. So the difference between these two is that the Big Mama is a little bit heavier wire, and the Big Daddy is a little bit thinner wire. We're going to use a 4/0 on this fly. We're going to use the lighter wire in the back and a little bit more heavy wire in the front. And if you don't want these colored hooks, these hooks are made from partridge or made by partridge. So you can use the Universal Predator in 4/0, and you can use the normal one and the X version, and it's the same hook but without the color. But I like those 2 colors because it really makes that fire tiger pop a lot. So that's what we're gonna do. So I put the green one, the 4/0 in the vise. It's a little bit lighter wire, and that's going to be perfect for the rear hook because it's going to make it a little bit more lighter in the water, so it's going to kick a little bit better. So that's what we're going to start with. We're tying with the Techstream 100 denier power thread. It's really strong. It's non-waxed and non-stretch, so you need to glue it onto the hook. So put some glue on the hook like that, and we just put thread right on the hook base. Cut that existing thread off and go with the thread all the way back to where the barb is. Do not tie behind the barb, because then you're going to go into the hook shank or hook bend, and that's not good at all. We're going to make that extension for the wiggle tail. It's supposed to be sticking out just a little bit shorter than or the total length of this is supposed to be the same length as the hook, but the wire is just going to stick out slightly shorter than the hook base is. So what we want to do is we want to double this titanium wire. We're going to put a bead there, and then this fast attachment in size 0. So what we're going to put on. So take this is called the Bauer pike wire, but it's 55 pounds single strand titanium. We want that wire to stick out a little bit longer than the hook shank is. That's fairly the right amount. We just take a wire cutter, cut that off, and then we're going to use a bead, whatever bead you feel like, but don't use too big bead. This is, I don't know if you can see it, but it's just 2mm bead for coarse fishing. These are fluorescent, so they light up like a Christmas tree in the water. And then we're going to use the fast attachment. There we go. So what we do is we take the titanium, put that fast attachment on there. It has a clip in one side and a loop on the other side. So push the loop through that. Make the ends nice and even, like that. Take that 2mm bead and push it over those two ends and pull it all the way down to the fast attachment, so it's looking like that. And then we're going to tie this onto the hook. We don't want to have this titanium all the way in front or all the way up to the hook eye, so leave 5 to 6mm here, so you have plenty of space to put the material. Put those titanium wires nice and even on the top, wrap it all the way in front, and then you just cross it when you go back, and it's going to be very, very strong. Don't go past the barb. Now this is sticking out the right distance because these rippled ice fibers, the fiber length is not longer than this when it's folded, so we don't want to have that too long because then it's going to look very strange on the hook or on the fly, right, actually. We don't have to go through any hook eye or anything like this because the only thing this little snap here is going to hold is that wiggle tail, so you're not going to have any fish hanging on that, hopefully not at least. So then we put some glue on this. Make sure you cover it in super glue so it's nice and strong. And now we're going to start making this tail here, and we're going to make it with the rippled ice fiber in fluorescent yellow on the tail here, on the other side, and on the top we're going to mix the electric rippled together with some pearl in the same color. So that's going to be mixed a little bit 50-50, and this one is just going to be one single color. So we start taking out some. This is called electric ripple fiber. This is fluorescent chartreuse. It's a little bit different texture than the pearl colors. So we're going to pull some of those fibers out. We're going to do the same, but the pearl version of the same material. Going to pull a few of those fibers out. And then we're going to try to mix these together a little bit. It's not that simple to mix, but we're just going to make a nice and simple mixture of that. So we just get some of those pearl fibers into it. You want to taper those ends a little bit, like that. We have that ready. And on the other side, we're going to use the fluorescent yellow. So we're going to pull some of those fibers out. Those we don't have to mix, so it's a little bit more simple to use. So what we're going to do, we're going to taper the ends a little bit. And then we're going to start by putting the yellow fibers on the underside of the hook. Make sure the super glue is all done. So now it's important to try to hide this titanium link here into the fibers. So you want to push that the same length as the fibers. You hold it with your left hand and then just make a few turns with the thread, and then we're going to fold this material over. Really try to hide the titanium like that, and then we move some of the fibers that were on the wrong side of the hook. Try to get even amount on both sides like that. So a little bit hard to work with in the beginning, these fibers, but as soon as you get used to it, they're much more simple. So now we got the yellow on the other side, and now we're going to use some of this mixture we made here. We're not going to use all of it, but we're going to use the same amount. Make sure they are a little bit tapered, and these are very, very fluorescent, so they really, really glow. So we do the same, put it on top of it. Make a few loose thread wraps, put a little bit of tension to the thread, and then you fold the material over. Kind of compress it with your thumb. Then go 1, 2 thread wraps on top of it, and then just go in front of it. So now we have that green mixture on the top and the yellow on the bottom. Put some glue on top of that. So make sure it's strong and durable. This fly is going to be completely synthetic, so it's important to use a lot of glue. And then we're going to body wrap this with this we called polar reflector flash. It's a chenille that has really nice fibers and a lot of flash inside of it. So what we're going to do is we're going to tie this on here. We're going to try to keep the fibers facing towards the floor, so it's kind of the natural flow to it. You can use the hole here, or you can kind of cut it off. It's a little bit up to you. Just gonna tie it in. Fibers facing the floor. And then we're gonna tie this almost leaving around a little bit more than a centimeter, because we're gonna go with another color here before we tie another bunch on that. So normally when I'm doing this at home, I use the whole bunch in my hand, just to keep the material a bit, so we don't waste too much material. But now I'm just going to cut it off, so it's going to be simple to watch on film. So then we just wrap this. When you're wrapping it forward with tight wraps, you just kind of pull the fibers to the left the whole time. So you make a nice and even body. So just slowly moving forward here. Really boring. So here, this is where you can fast forward on YouTube. So then we're gonna go, so we have around a centimeter of space left. We're gonna tie that off. And if you use the whole bunch in your hand, you kind of stop getting these small bunches that you kind of need to throw away, or at least keep for another fly. So tie that off. We're going to use some orange to get that nice contrast on a fire tiger. Do the same here. We just need 10 centimeters of this. Trying to watch the structure of the material, so the tips are facing the floor. So we tie that in the same place where we ended the last one. Put a drop of super glue here, so we really have a durable pike fly. Like that. It's no problem to wrap this in the wet super glue. It's just going to make the fly stronger. And this orange here is just going to make a nice contrast color to that fire tiger. Then we tie that off, leaving around 3 to 4 millimeters of space here. We'll fold all those materials backward. So now we have a naked hook here that's 3 to 4 millimeters of space. We have that tail and we have the body. So we put a drop of super glue again. So make sure it's nice and tight. So now we have done the tail, we have done the body. So now we're gonna use some of the green mixture again on top, and some yellow on the belly. And we're gonna tie this, and then we're gonna fold it, and then we're gonna put some UV glue here, because I don't want to have too many thread wraps in front of it. It looks really bad. So it looks much better if you just make a few turns and then put some UV glue on top of it. So that's what we're gonna make now. We're gonna mix a little bit more of this green mixture here. So we take some of the fluorochartreuse and a lot of the electric in green. Make sure that we have a nice mixture of this. So you can just mix it like you mix dubbing together or something like this. Make sure we have a nice mixture and a nice taper to them. Put that on the table. Then we're going to use the fluorescent yellow. Make sure it's nice and tapered. And then we start with the yellow. And we tie it a little bit slightly longer fibers facing back and slightly shorter facing forward. So make 1 or 2 light turns like that. Compress it, make some really tight and hard thread wraps, leaving this facing forward. So we're going to go on the other side, doing the same with the green. So we're doing that. We make 1, 2, 3 loose ones, and then we're actually putting a lot of tension to the thread like that. So it really sticks to the hook. So it's not going to follow. So it's not going to fall together when you catch a lot of pike. So move that forward a little bit, like that. So now we're creating the belly, we're creating the back, and you get this nice orange contrast in the middle. So now we're going to fold these. Fold that backwards. Try to make the green one on the top and the yellow on the belly. So it's kind of folded over like that. You can take one of these hair clamps, hold it over, go for the belly, kind of fold that over, and then we're just going to make a few thread wraps in front of this as a support, like that. And I don't want to build up a big hill here of thread. I just want to leave it like this, and we're gonna whip finish this here like that. Cut the thread off, put a drop of super glue on the thread here, so it's nice and strong. Make sure that that super glue is ready, and now we want to get the rippled fiber here to get the right shape. So what we do is we take some of this UV glue. This is the Diamond Fine Flex. It's from Deer Creek. It's a little bit soft and flexible and really, really strong UV glue. So we do it, kind of just press out the drop of it, put it on the base of it like that, kind of get that shape to the wing we want to have, and just hit the UV lamp. And we're going to have that right shape to it. So we do the same thing on the belly. Put some glue there. I like to hold it so it's right where the tip of the hook is, like that. Then you get really the right angle, and you just cure the glue. So now we got that tail hook, we got that nice slim profile, hopefully on your side too, not only on mine. So that's the rear hook, it's all done, and we're gonna link these together with some beads and some wire. So we take that out of the vise, and now we're gonna take the Big Mama hook. This is slightly heavier wire. We're gonna put that in the vise, like that, nice and tight. Put some glue on top of it. And we're just gonna attach the thread to the wet glue. Cut that off. And then we're gonna use some 49 strand of wire. This is called Pike Tech. It's a Bauer pike wire, but you can use any plastic coated wire that are out there. What's important is that it's not titanium, because when you put it into a loop and through the eye there, you're gonna actually break the titanium wire. So it needs to be a nice, durable, a little bit thicker wire. Just gonna cut that off. So we push that through the eye of the hook on the rear hook like that. Then we're going to use 2 beads. These are called the articulated beads. We're just going to use whatever color you want. I'm going to use the bright orange here and the green one, just to get some nice color contrast. It's really important that we push the orange one on first, otherwise we won't catch any fish at all. No, of course not. You can push whatever bead you want on there first, doesn't matter. Push them on like that, and then the distance in this loop here, it should be slightly bigger than one of these beads. So make sure that this loop here is not too tight, because then it's not going to move nice, and not too big, then it actually can slide up and tangle. So you want to have it just at right size, like that. So make sure this is not twisted. So you tie these two on top of the hook, nice and flat. What we want to have now is you want to have this last bead here. You want to have this distance straight. This loop should be a little bit bigger than the bead here together. So you should actually be able to have one bead here if you want to. And it should be in a straight line like that, like I have it right now. And then you can just tie it on. So don't tie the thread behind the barb, because then you're actually going to go down in the hook bend, and you're going to have a tailing hook that's going to go facing downwards like that, and we want to have a straight fly like that. So that's a good distance. So then you're going to go with the thread, leaving a good centimeter here, or your finger or your thumb, whatever you want to do. Tighten this here. I just fold the wire backwards, so we have a nice and strong fly. Fold that one, fold the other one, press it down, tie it down. So now this is doubled. It's going to be really, really durable, and no fish or log or stone or wherever can kind of break this. So you make a few thread wraps over this, and then we're going to put some super glue over this so it's nice and strong. So there we go. The distance is good. That last bead is actually leaning against the hook bend, and we have that right distance in there. So we're going to go all the way to the back here. And now what we want to do is we want to make that second hook here, and we want to have a little bit of that ripple ice fiber again on the top and on the bottom, and then we're just going to repeat everything we did on the last hook here. So it's fairly simple. So we're going to make a mixture of the green, the fluorescent chartreuse here. We're going to use 2 bunches of this, so it doesn't matter if we mix a little bit too much. Put it on there. Go with the pearl dyed chartreuse here. Some of the fibers in that. Mix it together. So we have a nice bunch like that. Once again, we go for the yellow. Don't have to mix that at all. Make sure that they're tapered. So we're not going to use all of this. We're going to use most of that bunch. Then we're just going to repeat what we did on the rear hook. So we go for the belly first. Put that there. Make sure that the glue is set, so you don't glue all the fibers to the hook. So we start with the belly. Put it on the underside of the hook. Make a few wraps like that. Fold the material backwards and secure it with a few wraps like that. Make sure that you have the same amount on both sides. You can take your dubbing needle and kind of get it the right amount on each side. There we go. Make a few turns like that. You can put a drop of super glue. You're going to have an even more durable fly here. And we're going to take half of this chartreuse bunch here. Going to do the same was a little bit too big actually. Take the other one. Then we're gonna tie the green one on top. A few loose thread wraps. Position it in the right angle, and then just fold it over. A few turns. Make sure it's nice and tight. And then a drop of super glue again. So now we're kind of building this together. We're trying to keep that high and narrow profile the whole time. So we're gonna body wrap this again with the fluorescent polar reflector flash here. Make sure that those fibers are pointing the right way here. So we tie that in again. And usually I go with this all the way to where I stopped with the wire here. It's usually a good distance. So we wrap this forward at the same time as we're folding all the fibers backwards, building a nice and tight body with a lot of volume. So we cover those ends of wire there, try to make it nice and neat like that. We tie that off. It's just like we did on the rear hook. So we're going to use some of the orange one again as the contrast here. So we tie the orange one to the same place where we ended with the chartreuse one. Put a drop of super glue on there so we have a nice and durable fly. Like that. We go a little bit forward with the thread. Then we just wrap this just like we did with the last hook. So we leave roughly around a half a centimeter of space in the front here. So there we go. Cut that off. These bright colors is usually good to have those small pieces lying on your table because you're always going to need them for flies, so don't throw them away. So drop of super glue again. So now we kind of do the finish of the fly here. And we want to use two bunches here. We're going to have one that we're going to tie and face down and tie it over, and then the other one we're going to keep facing forward, and then we're going to turn them the other way with the UV glue. So we're going to go like this. We're going to keep some of the green one we already mixed. We already mixed. Going to use some of the fluorescent yellow again here. Don't use too big bunches, just keep them slightly the same size. Make sure that the ends are tapered like that. And then we're going to tie this in on the lower side first. So 1 or 2 tight thread wraps like that. Fold it over and tie it over. And we're going to do the same on the top side here with the green. Not really that amount. I keep it a little bit more sparse. Like that. So the same here, the green, tie it in. Few loose thread wraps, put some tension to the thread. Make sure it's straight and fold it back. There we go. So now we have that as a back. Then we're gonna go in front of it with the thread. Put super glue over this so it's nice and strong. We're gonna cover all this with the ice so it doesn't need to be nice, doesn't need to be nice at all. It can be a little bit rough and look like shit actually. So we're gonna use some of this pearl version here again. Put it on the table. Use some chartreuse. Same bunch. Mix that nice together, just like we have done with the previous ones. So I'm not going to use really all that, but almost. So we're going to tie this forward here now, in front of that first bunch. Keep it like that. And then we're going to use the yellow one on the belly. Same procedure again here. Nice and tapered. Turn the fly around. Tie it on the belly. Nice and tight. Like that. And then we're just going to finish this off with a whip finish here. Like that. And then we're going to cut the thread off. So now we have these two guys facing forward. So what we want to do now is going to take the dubbing needle, try to divide this into the chartreuse on the top of it and the yellow on the belly. Like that. Then we're going to do the same thing we did previous, some UV resin. Put it here on the base of it. So we just harden it the right angle we want to have as the back. And then we do the same for the belly. I usually like to hold this material so it touches the hook point. That usually makes a nice and correct angle. Then it's cured and hardened. And now we got that right shape to the whole fly. So now we're just gonna glue the eyes on with epoxy. And then we're just gonna make some nice black stripes to it so it becomes more of a fire tiger fly. So first thing to do is to put a clamp over that. We're gonna mix some epoxy. Piece of paper. Epoxy. So this is 5-minute epoxy. It's really strong if you want to glue eyes on and not cover it with something else. So this is what I prefer to use when I glue the eyes on. Epoxy is usually much more simple to use when it's warm, so keep them warm. You can have them in boiling water or really hot water. The epoxy is going to be so much more simple to work with, not like we have today in a cold studio. If you heaten the epoxy up after you started mixing it, it's actually going to start to cure much faster. So keeping them warm before you mix them is really the key thing here. So we mix them together, and when it becomes clear again, the epoxy, then they are mixed together the right way. You can always mix a little bit extra, so you really make sure that you're not going to ruin the whole fly by being lazy with the mixture. And then what we're going to do is we're going to lay the fly down flat, and where we have all these thread wraps here, that's where we're going to put the epoxy. So I'm going to put it in like that. We're going to have the right amount of epoxy is usually the size of the pupil of the eyes you're going to use. I'm going to use a 11mm eye, so I want to have a good chunk of epoxy. And this is the 11mm fluo red, so they're very fluorescent. So we just lean these against the end of the hook eye, fold it into the wet epoxy like that. Take the other one on that side. Then we just move that hair clamp to the front of those eyes. Then we're gonna make sure that they are nice and flat. And then we just have to wait this epoxy to cure. So the epoxy is not 100% dry yet, but we can start to make some stripes on the fly. So what I like to use is to go from the front here and kind of lay out the markings where I want to have them. This is all up to you how you want to paint this, but I like to go kind of keep them going even on the second fly here. So I want to have them, it's a little bit tricky to get them in the right position here, but it looks, you're gonna give a much more nicer feeling to it if it goes all the way on the second hook here too. So use a little bit time to get it right. So what I've done now is I've got that, put all the markings out here. So we're just gonna kind of start to lower it on this side, get all the stripes coming along to the body here, and also to the second fly, so they go down on the right angle here, and also all the way down to the tail, so you really get that feeling of those black stripes. And then do the same on this side. And it's gonna pop a lot in the water. So there we go. Now they're all done. Make sure that the epoxy is dry. And if you now have fibers that are sticking up here, sometimes some of these fibers are not really cooperating, you can always put some UV glue here, just a little bit here, to prevent those fibers from standing straight up. I didn't have that, but I just wanted to show you how you can do it. That's just to fill in that gap, so make sure that the fly is nice and neat. So there we have, let's see if I can get this from the vise. We have an articulated, rippled minnow. Just needs to be combed a little bit here, so get all that material to come nice together. And now you have a nice Fire Tiger articulated, fully synthetic minnow. Have fun, catch a big one, and whatever you do, don't miss our other videos. Have fun.